Joining us now is former Pentagon Chief of Staff Kash Patel. Kash, good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the bottom line. So, listen, we heard in Jennifer's report that the White House threatened there'd be serious consequences for China if they strengthen their relationship with Putin. What do you make of that threat?
I think that the threat is surpassed being a threat. If you look back to the situation in Afghanistan, the CCP and Russia are in bed together. They are taking advantage of the $85 billion of technology we left there in equipment. They're exploiting that to their gain. They're mining the African countryside for mineral research and mineral wealth that they use for their arms weapons programs. They are already weaponizing interest in Afghanistan together against America. And so when I hear a veiled threat such as that there is time for consequences if and when it is happening, it has already happened. And make no mistake about it, the CCP and Russia are doing it when it comes to Ukraine, when it comes to weaponry, armament, and just the flow of cash around the world.
Kash, but we had little trade, real trade with Russia. And and I've said this before, Biden took a hatchet to our energy sector, drove up the price of oil, and essentially handed the money to Putin to invade Ukraine. But we are inextricably dependent on China. Our entire economy is. And we're essentially paying for our own demise. And Will Hurd, former congressman, has written, China's preparing for war. It's not speculation, and it's not warmongering. You can go through a list of what they're doing. How soon do they invade Taiwan?
Hey, it's great to be with you as well. Look, I think that what Putin did in the Ukraine is what with the CCP and Xi Jinping are setting up in Taiwan. We have a slightly more deterrent angle in the South China Sea based upon our naval positions there and our allied posture over there. But it is a game, and Will Hurd and I were on the House Intelligence Committee together. So it is a game that the Chinese have laid out for 5, 10, 15 years ago to the next 5, 10, 15 years. So we always talk about, is it going to happen this year or next? That's not China's plan. Their plan is they play long ball because they don't have any rules and they don't have any ethics, and they only care about hurting American interests and augmenting their own. So I think Xi Jinping is borrowing from Putin's playbook, using the distractions of Ukraine to leverage assistance in his domination in the South China Sea and Taiwan, and ultimately probably leading towards some kind of invasion, though people forget the geography of Taiwan. It would require an overhead aerial invasion since it is a mountainous country.
So, Kash, if you look at where the chess pieces are with China, Russia, Ukraine, you're in a position of power right now. What would you do? How should the U.S. respond? Should we start pulling out? Do we actually need to engage more until Ukraine wins? What should the strategy in the U.S. be?
Well, I'll borrow from the playbook that I helped run in the previous Trump administration, and that is a combination of diplomatic and sanctioning maneuvers. First of all, from a diplomatic standpoint, we should be ejecting Russian and Chinese diplomats that are around the country until Russia and China get on board with things such as the START Treaty, which is, remind people, that treaty has more power than law and is a nuclear deterrent. It should be of primary importance. The other thing we should be doing is not just sanctioning individuals in those countries that cause us harm or get in our way, but companies as well as their monetary policies. Once you impact Russia and China's trade, as Dagan noted, our economy is so reliant on China right now because we don't have the trade implementation policies in place that we did in the prior administration to cripple the RMB and bring China to the table. I thought we were a country of going over to Western Europe and saying, how do we stop war? And Joe Biden has just gone over there and unfortunately brought us on the brink of war by not engaging in any diplomatic talks with Vladimir Putin or elsewise with Xi Jinping in China. So unfortunately, we could be doing a number of things, and we're not doing any of those things from a diplomatic, strategic standpoint or sanction standpoint. And we haven't even talked about the banking sector, which we could use to our advantage as well.
Well, just give us one idea, banking-wise.
What you do is both of those countries, Russia and China, rely on the U.S. dollar, which is the backbone of 75% of the world global transactions. And what you do is you limit their access, or at least a large number of companies that the CCP and the Russian government have, to utilize the U.S.-backed dollar backbone infrastructure, and thus they cannot engage in trade negotiations, not just with America, but with the rest of the world that uses that banking infrastructure. It's a very powerful tool that we utilize against Iran all the time, and we utilize it against Russia and China in the prior administration.
Kash Patel, By the way, great podcast. I was listening to it the other day. It's awesome. Thanks for joining me. Was it season 6 or something like that? It's awesome. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Season 6. Thanks so much, guys.
All right.